Welcome to Canada's podcast. Hi everyone and Happy New Year. I'm Phil Bliss, founder and CEO of Canada's podcast, coming to you today from Toronto. For the past decade, Jeffrey Doucette has been at the forefront of innovation on the online job search and career wellness side of things. Thrive is a career wellness platform that is transforming the way organizations manage outplacements and career transitions. Thrive employers deposit tokens into an employee's account, and employees redeem their tokens in a marketplace filled with contemporary career management services. Launched in 2019, Thrive now supports the outplacement needs of 400 plus organizations globally. Jeffrey now leads a team of passionate colleagues who are focused on building great software to help individuals advance their careers. So, Jeffrey, welcome to Canada's podcast. I know you've been here before, but most people won't remember or maybe didn't listen to the podcast. And I think what's kind of interesting is even if they had, it's been a big sort of gap in between. So you can really talk deeply about, building your business significantly, which we chatted about earlier, and doing it, without any capital investment, So that, which is probably still the norm for many entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. But before we do that, because most of the people don't know you, Jeffrey, why don't you just give us a quick, 2-3 minute, who is Jeffrey Doucette? Why are you sitting in here in front of me as an entrepreneur?
Sure. Well, it's great to see you again. So my name's Jeffrey Doucette. I'm the CEO of a company located here in Toronto called Thrive's Career Wellness Platform. And what we do is we build software to help individuals advance their career when they're out of work and they're looking for their next job. And so Thrive is a software platform that allows an individual to upload their resume, understand their existing skill set, compare their skills to labor market demand, access upskilling and retraining to move their career forward, then apply to jobs and connect with employers. And, we offer our software to our customers and individuals in, two distinct ways. One is we make our software available to companies who are, unfortunately having to reduce headcount or having individuals departing their organization through a layoff and traditional outplacement services. And so we support those individuals in finding their next job and support the employers in assisting individuals in departing their organization with grace. The second way that, we support individuals, which has been, a huge, I think, new initiative for us over the last couple of years, is we sell our software to governments. And so governments, all around the world, offer support to individuals that are unemployed. And that's through, here in Ontario, like Employment Ontario offers services to individuals and governments, after seeing the impact our software is having on individuals who have been laid off, have started buying our software to support their citizens that are unemployed. And, over the last, I think, 4 years since we've chatted, it's been a wild journey. I think we've about 5x in size, 5x in team size, grown from being, a company that's operating primarily in Canada to a company that's deployed our software in about 12 different countries around the world in a number of different ways. And so, it's been a good journey. Got a lot of gray hair for someone in their early 30s, which is a testament to, I think, some of the things you go through in building a company. But it's been a lot of fun.
But I think, how do you manage to, that's a 5x, in 5 years since we talked. I mean, that's that's a massive, growth curve, and you've done it, really self-funding, which is still the dominant way for entrepreneurs. So maybe you can kind of give them a little bit of insight that you've learned in those 5 years as you've driven this thing forward.
Yeah, we like it's challenging to grow a business, and businesses, require investment to grow their business. And it doesn't really matter what you're selling. It can be really challenging to accelerate your path to market without additional capital. That being said, I think what we've done a really good job of is aligning our needs and our requirements, with what our customers are looking for, and making sure that as a software company, we are executing in a very short cycle towards value creation for our customers. So I think what that means, and what can be really challenging, is being laser focused on what you can deliver to the market, in 3 to 6 month cycles. I think, the other thing, but that also means that what it can be more challenging for entrepreneurs, specifically like myself, is sometimes saying no to things, not pursuing specific opportunities if you haven't been able to completely understand, how you're going to deliver value or how you're going to commercialize the product. Mm-hmm. The second thing, which I think has been a strong path to success for us, which has been a little bit unique, is, aligning ourselves sometimes with strategic partners. So what Thrive has done is, if we're looking to sell our product in Australia or in Germany or in the United Kingdom or in another country where we don't potentially have the resources to spin up a sales team and, plant our flag in that geography, is find a local partner who will, sell the product on our behalf, act as a reseller, willing to put some money on the table and, invest in growing our product and brand in their local market. So, it hasn't been easy. It's been challenging. It can be, fairly stressful, like managing the business on a cash basis, on a month-to-month basis. But, as you said, that's how most businesses grow.
Stay ahead of the game with our expert tips and strategies that will help your business thrive in a digital era. CanadasPodcast.com. Subscribe now.
After a decade or so of doing this, why are you still doing it? What's best about being an entrepreneur versus being an employee?
I ask myself that some days, because, some days it's, obvious. You feel like you're on top of the world. And I don't think anything, in life has the, ups and downs of entrepreneurship. You think it's never as good as it feels in the moment, and it's also never as bad as it may feel in the moment. For me, I think people are entrepreneurs for a number of different reasons. And there's probably no right reason as to why you should start a company. But for me, I would say that both myself and my co-founder are mission-oriented people. And our company has gone through a number of twists and turns in its journey. But for us, it's always come back to this like North Star of being able to help people move their careers forward. And I like to say, I think there's 3 really important things in someone's life. Their physical and mental health, their, family and personal relationships, and what they do for work. Because that makes up when one of those things are off, it tends to impact the other 2. And so being able to work on improving people's lives on a day-to-day basis through software is just such an important journey to be on. And I think that in an organization that's our size, 50 people feels a lot larger than it was when we started. Your feedback cycle is so quick. If you implement a new thing, you can see that tangentially impact someone's lives, immediately. And that's just something I love working on.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So we have experienced a lot of growth in the last couple of years. And, I think that sometimes that is because of decisions you make. Sometimes that's because of market forces that are pulling you in specific directions. And what is a lot different about Thrive than a job board, like, how does Thrive differentiate than someone using Indeed or ZipRecruiter or another common hiring platform, is our ability to upskill and reskill and integrate training into your job search. A lot of people that are out of work maybe are in an occupation that is in dwindling demand. Maybe they worked in an industry that there aren't as many jobs available for them as there used to be. And we've shown with our software that being able to integrate training into our platform improves employment outcomes, which is totally makes sense. If you're able to build a new skill, you open yourself up to new job opportunities. Now, thinking about where we see ourselves in 5 years, what we're experiencing is a lot of positive momentum as a company driven by, the changing world of work. So, anyone that's been following the labor market, the economy, the world in general knows that artificial intelligence is starting to have a huge impact on people's lives on a day-to-day basis. And I believe that it's going to continue to dramatically impact how people work and how the labor market shakes out. So what's that mean for us as an organization? We are going to continue to push deeper into providing stronger training ecosystems on our platform. We're starting to build relationships with Canadian universities and colleges. When I think about, our business last year, we supported about 50,000 people that are out of work, finding their next job. In 5 years, I expect that number to be closer to 500,000. And I expect us to continue to evolve outside of, just job search into training, upskilling, reskilling, and career exploration. What we're also seeing is, a lot more labor mobility amongst workers. So individuals that are looking to upskill and reskill while they're gainfully employed to move into new opportunities. So I guess the short answer is, keep working on what we're working on and continue to expand kind of our product offering and training ecosystem to meet the needs of where, the market's heading.
So what's your biggest challenge in the next couple of years, you think?
I think one of the challenges is really directly related to what we just spoke about, is that, the world is changing and the world of work is changing fast. And, being able to stay on top of changing technologies to meet our users' needs, while also innovating at the pace that we're seeing technology companies start to innovate, driven by AI, is, something, I think about, every day. I think, the second part of it is, it's kind of coming back to, capital requirements. Canada is a small country in a really big world. And, one of the things that, is a challenge, or is something that we're spending a lot of time thinking about, is how do we take this product that, is proven to work, and localize it and evolve it to meet the needs of a number of strategic regions and geographies that we want to tackle.
Interesting. Do you have a way of, we all hit challenges. Have you kind of worked out a way that you can handle them and overcome them, that you use on, as a process?
So I think that, one of my strengths is ruthlessly prioritizing what is the most important burning, issue of the day, of the week. And, one of the things that I think can be challenging in an environment where you're meeting the needs of multiple stakeholders is, context switching or changing your priorities based on what you're hearing from the market. And, I kind of like to joke that I can barely plan my life more than 2 weeks at a time. It's something that can frustrate friends and family when it's difficult to give someone a clear answer on if you're available for a holiday in 6 weeks, or 6 months even for that nature. But for me, a lot of it comes back to ruthless prioritization on a week to week basis. And, it's as simple for me as, starting work most weeks on Sunday, and Sunday's kind of my, after dinner, 2 to 3 hours of thinking about what I tackled last week, and what I plan on tackling this week. And, this ever evolving, changing kind of list of priorities, and not being, shy about, changing them and evolving them really quickly. And that typically means 1 or 2 or 3 things that need to get done this week, and 5 to 10 things that you might want to get to, but you're okay, dropping them. Having fairly strong opinions that are loosely held about what you need to tackle next.
Interesting. What advice would you give to someone that's just moving into, an entrepreneurial role, about thinking of or just started a business?
So, it's something that, I guess, kind of at that stage where, entrepreneurs may reach out and start asking questions for advice, just like I did whenever I was starting my business. And the advice I always give them is, you need to fall in love with a problem and not a solution. Okay. And what I mean by that is, it's very rare that your first idea on how to tackle a problem is the right one. It's actually probably very rare that your first friggin' 50 ideas on how to tackle a problem is the right one. And no one is going to keep up with the stress and challenges in building a business if they fell in love with their solution or the outcome, or some financial goal. You have to really love the problem. The second, and be really vested in spending 10 to 15 to 20 years on your life working on that problem. I think one of the challenges I see people face is you have to be really, aggressive in building your company, but also extremely patient. It takes a long time to gain enough information about a market to have some sort of competitive advantage. And, we've been at it for a while. We started our company nearly a decade ago. The first 3 to 4 years, we were barely a company. It was really in the last 4 to 5 that, we started growing and building a sustainable business. And it can feel like a really long time to people. One of my favorite stats is that, the average software company that goes public on, the NASDAQ in America, has reached $250 million in revenue, is 18 years old. That's the average. It takes, from inception to going public 20 years for a massive outcome, let alone, and most companies aren't even done then. Right. And so, you're talking about, if you're truly trying to see through a problem from start to finish and execute on a long tail, a 2 to 3 decade journey. And, with what we, already spoke about, all the changes, technology changes, you're never going to come to market with a solution. You're going to focus on a problem and attack it from a number of different directions.
Discover the latest trends, strategies, and success stories in the ever-evolving world of business. CanadasPodcast.com. Subscribe now.
That was a great piece of mentorship. But what's the best piece of advice that you've received? That you keep with you, that kind of doesn't go away.
I'm trying to think through it. One is, so one of our investors who I've had the great fortune of getting to know. And I am still shocked whenever there's a couple times a year I need to pick up the phone and call him, how fast he answers and how I get like 7 emails on a Saturday after I've called him about a problem is Sir Terry Matthews. So he was the founder of Mitel.
Yeah. Knew him back in the day. So
Mitel Newbridge Networks, our largest private investor in our business, and he supported, Tristan and I when we were basically at our inception. And so he's kind of been with Wesley Clover. His family office has been with us, since the get-go. And, Terry has this huge mantra around going global, like building global companies. And that basically entrepreneurs in Canada wait way too long to try to go global and try to build their company outside of Canada. And so, since the get-go, since we were doing like a couple $100,000 in revenue, we've been focused on trying to expand internationally. And it's been hard to do. I'm not going to lie, today still like 80% of our revenue is in Canada and about 20% of it is global. But there's a couple interesting learnings that have made us a really much more stable and mature company because of that advice. One is, you really quickly start to learn as if you're working on a problem that has a global need, right? Two, you learn a lot about the world that you didn't really understand. And once you start doing commerce in other regions, that I think positions you to like understand the need for your software. And then three, really pushes you outside of your comfort zone as an entrepreneur. Like if you early on are walking into a sales meeting in Germany, trying to pitch, some company that's probably never going to buy from you at the stage you're at on your software when you're a 3 or 5 person company, you're also learning a level of skills and understanding on how to do business development that, really positively impacts your business. And so, one of the things that I think frustrates me about the Canadian technology ecosystem in general is a lack of ambition. And two, this kind of belief that you can't go global or you can't become an international company, you can't do business in other jurisdictions until you have, $25 million in capital in the bank to allow yourself to start growing internationally. And so that I think is something that he hammered over our head early on, and we benefited a lot from it.
That's good. Let's get on to some little bit more fun questions. Are you a morning or a night person?
Morning person. Much more productive at 5 a.m. than like 6 p.m.
Interesting. What book are you currently reading, or podcast are you listening to? Whatever book you're listening
to. My partner got me a book for Christmas that I just started reading about Project X, about bringing technology. That's about really how technology is changing the world of defense in the United States, and kind of how programs have been set up in the United States to encourage more venture capital and innovation in the defense and public safety sector, which I've read with great interest because I've always been interested in public safety and geopolitics, but as well, has interesting learnings to our business, given that, we're trying to sell the government. Selling the government is hard. So that's what I'm reading right now.
Interesting. If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be and why would you choose it?
I'd say transparent. I think that for better or worse, people tend to know what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking it, what I think about what's going on, and that sometimes gets me into some hot water, but I think has served me really well in building relationships as an entrepreneur.
What's keeping you up at night?
Um, you know, a lot of the day-to-day challenges we're facing as a company. I think when you go through different iterations as an entrepreneur, and you know we are and you kind of think that at every stage it's going to get less hard, but it actually gets way harder. And for us right now, our biggest challenge is execution risk. We have a lot of opportunities in front of ourselves, and we want to execute on all of them at the same time. And so, spend a lot of time thinking about those things.
Interesting. Good session. Some really good stuff in there. How can people listening to it or looking at it, how can they get a hold of you, Jeffrey?
Yeah. So, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, probably the easiest way is to find me on LinkedIn, Jeffrey Doucette, CEO at Thrive Career Wellness Platform. You can email me directly at jeffrey@thrivemycareer.com, or find me on Twitter, or X, I guess, is Jeffrey_Doucette, but I don't really use that as much.
All right. Jeffrey, great to see you again, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much.
What a great session. That was super. Good start to the year. So I'm Phil Bliss. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter on our website, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, or subscribe on any one of the major podcast channels. Thanks for following Canada's podcast, where you meet the entrepreneurs that are driving Canada's economy. See you soon.